While most people will remember the Exascale Computing Project, or the ECP, as an unprecedented multi-lab project that created a truly robust exascale ecosystem in support of the nation's first exascale platforms, the project's legacy will actually be much more than that. The legacy of the ECP will be the widespread advancements and performance improvements ranging from applications to software tools to hardware innovations that will have a wide-ranging impact on the overall HPC community. Welcome to another episode of Let's Talk Exascale. I'm Mike Bernhardt, and our guest once again is the director of the Exascale Computing Project, Doug Kothe. Now today we'll be talking with Doug as a follow-up to the ECP's annual meeting. It was a virtual meeting, of course, held in April with around 1,300 stakeholder attendees, discussing progress and plans as we move down the path closer to the realization of capable exascale computing for the nation. You know, from somewhat of a niche discussion topic at its inception around 5 years ago, to what is now a steady computing and science discussion topic that has become increasingly popular around the globe, the U.S. Department of Energy's Exascale Computing Project stands out as a model that organizations will likely study for years to come. You know, in terms of the monumental effort of this project, the deep and widespread collaboration, and the successful effort to continually raise the bar for project management tools and skills as oversight on such a complex project. So let's go over to Doug Kothe. Doug is in the studio today at Oak Ridge National Laboratory. Doug, before we get into discussing the recent ECP annual meeting, we should address one key point that has become more and more important as the broader audiences start to pay attention to the topic of exascale computing. This project, while it absolutely benefits the nation by advancing science in many areas of research, will have a far-reaching impact on high-performance computing overall, benefiting research and development, design, manufacturing across numerous industries, and with potentially tremendous economic impact. So could you talk just a bit, Doug, about the importance of the Exascale Computing Project to high-performance computing overall?
Sure, Mike, and it's great to be here. We are approaching, amazingly, our 5-year anniversary for the project, and we're really in the throes of seeing the fruits of our labor. Early returns are the application development effort is very much on target. We're building applications that, in my mind, are and will be the science and engineering tools for the nation, I think for decades to come. What we're seeing is performance and science goals that are exceeding expectations. Again, as a reminder, we're supporting 24 what I would call first mover applications, but what we're learning, we're really aggressively reaching out to the rest of the community all along the way. And these tools really span all of DOE mission space, from national security to energy production, energy transmission, fundamental science discovery, materials and chemistry, on and on. And what we're seeing is, especially on Summit at Oak Ridge National Lab and early hardware for the exascale systems, we're seeing really very promising results. I think a lot of this is really owing to the order 1,000 researchers we have involved that are best and brightest across the nation. So really, really exciting at this point. This is a key time for the project because in the next year, we anticipate being able to demonstrate the fruits of our labor on the exascale machines, in particular Aurora at Argonne and Frontier at Oak Ridge. Let me also say that the Extreme Scale Scientific Software Stack, or E4S as we call it, is really been an exciting effort. We're packaging together 71 software products that our project's working on, contributing to, some cases creating, in many cases adding to, that we think is going to be a long-standing, sustainable software stack for the future. Very excited about this software stack. We're releasing on a very regular basis, every 3 months now, with new features coming out. We're also seeing through our Path Forward program, which invested in our U.S. HPC vendors, R&D for node and system designs. That's really paying off big time. based on our early hardware experiences and what we see with Frontier and Aurora, and actually El Capitan at Livermore as well. And in terms of overall, what I see is the accelerated node computing. I really think our project has, frankly, demystified this. I think we're lowering the barrier for entry for lots of other applications. I think we're really working hard in figuring out how to design abstraction layers, how to move forward on programming models to where it's not such a complicated beast. I really think we've made some great progress there. And in terms of kind of other things that are really important, we realize that testing, continuous integration, integrating into facilities, not just at DOE, which is what we're really focused on now, but other agencies and universities, we're building infrastructure to deploy these products and tools and technologies in a fairly seamless way. And so we're really excited about the overall developments there as well. So, Mike, we have I think a challenging year ahead of us, but we think we're ready and real excited because this is kind of the penultimate time with the hardware really coming in now. And, I hope next time we talk, we'll be able to really, convey what I believe are going to be very positive experiences and outcomes on the Exascale systems.
Thanks, Doug. I think I'd like to expand on that topic in just a bit. But first, could you give us a snapshot update on where the project is today, maybe an ECP by the numbers?
Sure, Mike. We are a formal project, and in fact, for an effort this big, we would really want to engage in what I would call formal project management to make sure that we're doing the best we can with the taxpayer money that we have. In terms of ECP by the numbers, probably the first thing to mention is we have some very formal quantitative metrics we absolutely have to pass on before our Department of Energy sponsors deem us a success. We call these key performance parameters, or KPPs. In industry, they're often called key performance indicators, or KPIs. They're pretty much the same. And I think it's admittedly, at the beginning of the project, we had a hard time really honing in on what they should be, how we quantify them, et cetera. But it really has galvanized and focused the project. It's been a good thing. So we have 4 of them, and I can just say that we are on track for all 4 of our KPPs. I won't go into the details other than to say that 2 of them really are about applications. Are they solving the right problems? Are they solving them well? Are they achieving the performance? Many of them have to show 50x relative to 2016. The third one is really about the software stack, E4S. Are the products in the stack being integrated and used, and are they useful? We've come up with what I think is a very creative scoring system for that metric. And then the fourth is the efficacy and the payoff of the Path Forward program, investment in R&D with 6 U.S. HPC vendors. And that one I think we've actually crossed the finish line on. We've seen tremendous payoff with our KPPs, in particular number 4. The first 3 we won't be able to claim success on until the Exascale systems show up, but I can say, Mike, that they're very much on track. And I think in terms of kind of other ECP by the numbers here, early hardware, we've been able to get on. When I say early hardware, it's not just the NVIDIA GPUs, but the Intel and AMD GPUs. And our early hardware experiences the past 6 to 9 months have been very good. We've been able to show that the path we're taking is, I think, going to succeed for us, both in being able to run the problems we want to run, but achieve the performance that we want to achieve. And a key aspect as we really near this time where we're going to roll on to Frontier, Aurora, and ultimately El Capitan is interaction with facilities. Our Department of Energy sponsors have given us some kind of key milestones and metrics to make sure we're collaborating with. Those collaborations are going real well, and we're achieving joint milestones there very well. And I guess I would just back off and say one last comment. I can't be more proud of our project management efforts in our project office. We have card-carrying professional project management expertise and personnel working closely with our scientists. And what that means is cost and schedule performance is very important for us, being able to show we're on track, being able to show that in areas where we need help that we're able to dip into contingency reserves or work more closely with facilities. We go through annual reviews by our Department of Energy sponsors that are pretty onerous. admittedly painful, but always helpful. And we went through one a couple of months ago, Mike, that was probably our best review in terms of the feedback we got, the recommendations we got. It's not that we won't have challenges and issues moving forward, but in terms of ECP by the numbers, these independent project reviews are critical. And we did very well a couple of months ago. We're very pleased. And with the recommendations we received was stay on track, be forward-looking, be aggressive. And so it was really good for us to get through that important gate. So far, Mike, we're really pleased with where we are. One other point I would like to make is a key objective for ECP has been and will be outreach aggressively with U.S. industry and other U.S. government agencies. And what we've done in the last couple of months has been very excited. We've expanded our industry council to become an industry and agency council. And so we brought in some selected U.S. government agencies to expand the council. And that's really been an exciting development. In fact, we just completed yesterday, one of our quarterly meetings, and the interactions were vibrant and fascinating. And so with regard to ECP, our objective is to share lessons learned and best practices with U.S. industry and also government agencies. Not that we're going to figure everything out and have all the right answers, but conveying what's worked and what's not worked, but also sharing our tools and technologies, and having cross-fertilization of staff experiences is key. And so this has been an exciting development. I think it's a good time for ECP to do this. We're in more of a results phase, frankly, of the project, where we have a lot of data to support our findings and experiences. And so that's really something I think, Mike, we're going to be pursuing more aggressively, is more intimate engagements with this council the next couple of years.
Thanks, Doug. So how would you recap the recent ECP annual meeting? Like, what highlights would you say stand out in terms of progress from the teams?
Yeah, it was a great meeting. And again, Mike, because of COVID and the pandemic, we held it all virtually. And admittedly, I was a little bit skeptical about how well this would work, but it far exceeded expectations. First of all, because it was virtual, we were able to bring in and invite more people than we normally would. So I think it was order 1,200 participants, which was unbelievable, frankly. It was a week long, and again, it was early April. We also were really very delighted and pleased to have Harriet Kung, Deputy Director of Science Programs from the Office of Science, give a keynote that was very encouraging and enlightening, and that was a really great kickoff to the meeting. But let me say, relative to past meetings, our folks have had their sleeves rolled up, working in the trenches, so to speak, on detailed code development, and that really came out in the meeting. It was really a working meeting where people were talking about their experiences, their challenges, their issues, their results on certainly the Summit system and the Argonne systems, but also early hardware. So it really was probably our most vibrant meeting in terms of interactions and experiences and exchanges. We had order 30 tutorials, lots of BOFs following the supercomputing approach, panel sessions, keynotes. We used some creative technology for poster sessions. We had over 100 posters. It was a really great meeting, Mike. It was really just sort of uplifting for me personally to see all the excitement, the passion, and energy. In spite of our 2020 pandemic, we've been charging ahead, and it was very evident in this meeting. We're going to work hard to push out all the material that we can for the public. So stay tuned with our posters, videos of tutorials, presentations. They'll be coming out early and often in the weeks to come.
So I should point out here that in timing with this interview discussion, ECP is releasing a group of video clips to introduce many of the portfolio managers to the broad HPC community. Now at ECP, the teams refer to these folks as the L3 team leaders. So Doug, perhaps you could just say a few words about the ECP's L3 product portfolio managers.
Sure, Mike. The L3 term is more of a project management term, but if you think about ECP at the top level being level 1, then level 2 are essentially our technical focus areas, and that's application development, software technology, hardware and integration. And then level 3 are the key technical leaders that each handle what I would call a portfolio of sub-projects within ECP. So our portfolio of sub-projects would be a related set of sub-projects, typically a half dozen, that represent 30 to 40 technical staff across the DOE and academic complex, and a sizable investment of, say, 10, 20, 30 million a year. So these people are really the key people in ECP. They are technical leaders. They have a tremendous track record. They're respected. They know how to lead. They're team builders. And what we've seen is they've also taken, frankly, a personal kind of responsibility in making sure that the sub-projects that they're leading succeed. So what's really impressed me is when they see problems, they dive in and work with the sub-projects team to help them. So the responsibilities are tremendous to help lay out a good technical plan, to track that technical plan, to review the deliverables, to understand with the principal investigators where the challenges are and work to help them. So it's been an exciting development. This team has a lot of cohesion and chemistry. They like each other. We like each other. We love working together. And we've been very stable and have stuck together for multiple years. And I think this team of level 3 leads is really where the rubber meets the road for ECP. So I can't say enough about them. And I encourage folks to listen in, to learn what they're up to, and reach out to them, because we really wouldn't succeed without this group.
Okay, and I should point out that our followers can find those video segments with the portfolio managers on the Exascale Project public website at exascaleproject.org. So finally, Doug, how has the new normal of virtual meetings impacted the efforts of the Exascale Computing Project?
Yeah, it's a good question. And to be honest, I'm tired of the term new normal, but that's where we are. ECP has been always a virtual distributed organization. So believe it or not, Zoom, BlueJeans, Teams, WebEx have been with us since the start of ECP. But to say that COVID-19 didn't impact the project would be wrong. We've certainly spent a lot of time since mid-March last year, working with our teams to make sure, when the whole lot of us went home to work, that we were as effective and productive as we possibly could, and yet also attend to family and loved ones, which is the most important thing. So in terms of the overall project, I would say that there were impacts, albeit minor, in that what we see is no large impacts to our critical path or our KPPs or our ability to deliver. So fortunately, relative to other projects and programs, given that we were already virtual and we're for the most part a desktop organization, we didn't have any major impacts. But I will say there were some very interesting and exciting outcomes here. In fiscal year 2020, we diverted a very small fraction of our scope to actually help with COVID. 5 of our sub-projects are building simulation tools and technologies from machine learning to computational biology to chemistry. They're able to divert their efforts to actually help with COVID R&D community. So this is an example of the talent of our staff and the cross-cut nature of what we're doing in terms of simulation. And we're really fortunate that in working with our DOE sponsors, we were able to do this. And we went through a formal process. When I say divert the scope, basically the path that our development teams had is kind of a 4-lane highway. We're still moving along that highway. We kind of moved a few lanes over to really contribute tools and technologies back to the COVID R&D community. So that was a very kind of satisfying and pleasing effort, which was we were able to kind of sit at the table and help. So that said, with regard to the impacts overall, they're there, albeit minor. But we were fortunate we're virtual already. Admittedly, for myself personally, the Zoom fatigue gets to us. I think a lot of us found ourselves working longer hours, feeling like we needed to be glued to the computer longer than we would. The separation between work environment and home environment was kind of difficult to get used to. The challenges with school and childcare are certainly there. So I think we're no different than almost anybody with regard to the impacts. We're still, I think, adjusting to maybe a transition back to a work environment, but working closely with our leadership team to make sure that that's as seamless as possible.
Thanks, Doug. At this point, I'd like to wrap up this discussion by going back to our opening topic and ask you to leave our viewers and listeners with your closing thoughts on the topic of the ECP's enduring legacy.
ECP is really a national imperative, and we've been asked to step up and deliver these tools for the nation. I believe we're doing that, and I can't say enough about the hundreds or thousands, over 1,000 researchers that are so talented and skilled and committed to delivering on this project. We've really been fortunate to be a part of what I would call a potentially a once in a career opportunity that I think the staff are going to carry with them in future endeavors. So I believe what we've done, getting to know each other, working together, integrating as a broader community, is going to have payoffs that we can only imagine. I think it's really been an exciting endeavor, and I for one am very fortunate to have been a part of it.
Well, that's it for this special episode of Let's Talk Exascale. We've been talking with ECP Director Doug Kothe. Thanks for joining us. You can keep up to date with our activities by opting in to receive our monthly email updates at exascaleproject.org. For the Exascale Computing Project, I'm Mike Bernhardt.